Hello, welcome to another English Sparkling with Tweedy video. Sorry, it's just my back garden and also the light is going. I did go for a walk and actually caught a little bit of the sunset earlier, and I should have just taken the wine along with me. That would have made much more sense, but it's very chilly today and somehow the prospect of sitting out in the cold for an extended period of time having a glass of wine didn't really appeal. I was in St James's earlier today, so I popped into Fortnum and Mason to see if they had anything appealing in their January sale. They don't really go big on sale items, but subtly, I think they're more reported on the website rather than in store. Some of their own brand sparkling wines are on special offer. I assume they, buy a bulk order of them for Christmas, and then post-Christmas they try and shift a few. So this is their vintage white English sparkling, and it's a 2016 vintage, and it is made for them. I doubt you're going to be able to read any of that label, are you? Is that all just horrible lighting? It's made for them by Wiston, a producer that I am a fan of, and I assume if this is a 2016 vintage, at least some part of this winemaking process would have been under Dermot Segru before he moved on to just focus on his own stuff full-time a few years back. I'm not sure if this will differ significantly from the standard Wiston vintage release of 2016, but it does say it's made specially for them, or words to that effect. I think the grape breakdown isn't given specifically, but it is in order: Pinot Noir, Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier, which sounds as though there's more Pinot Noir than anything else. And it has been aged on the lees for 6 years, which is pretty impressive. So I'm expecting quite a lot of autolytic character out of this, and possibly quite a lot of Pinot character, maybe. I always associate Wiston's sort of classic cuvées, their sort of standard releases. Oh look, it's got a Wiston cap on it. I always think of their classic, whatever they call their standard white sparkling. To me, tends to come across as quite Chardonnay forward. It's quite bold on the acidity and all of that. Maybe this is going to be different, I don't know. And it also has the Wiston branding on the cork. I don't know if any of this is showing up on camera. Perhaps the lighting is just too awful. I'm a horrible washed out mess. I could use the Sabrage, but it just makes it more difficult to store in the fridge. Oh, that's a very slightly underwhelming pop. Okay, hope this is in decent condition. It feels pretty cold. It's certainly cold outside. It's been in my fridge for 3-4 hours, something like that. So I'm hoping this is going to be in a reasonable condition. Certainly the fizz is intact there. The lighting is suboptimal, but I would say it's a pale gold kind of colour. I've had a bit of a cold for the last few days, and I've sort of been coughing a lot, and my nose is still a little bit runny, so I doubt my ability to smell things is going to be at its best. But straight away I'm getting, I would say, sort of an appley character and some nice autolytic notes, some nice kind of brioche, pastry-ish, patisserie kind of, sort of apple tart kind of character here. Yeah, baked apples and sort of flaky pastry, that kind of thing. It's very nice, actually. Maybe a tiny bit of dried fruit character in there. Yeah, it's coming across more apple, baked apple than lemon to begin with. And there might be some other fruit character in with that, possibly. It's some sort of apple tart with some other fruit. Does apple and plum tart, does that exist? Is that a thing? Some other fruit could have been in the mix there, in that apple and something pie. But it's a very nice start, really quite sort of rich, desserty, cakey, pastry-ish. Definitely a lot of very pleasant autolytic character coming out there. Very mouth-filling. Lovely mousse on that. Very nice mouthfeel. Feels like it's been a while since I've had a sparkling wine, actually, so I'm sort of reacquainting myself with this. It's only New Year's Eve, what's that, 8-9 days ago, whenever that was. And I'm getting more of that kind of, sort of baked apple character. But there is actually a decent amount of stone fruit now I think about it, sort of Pinot type character. It's something a bit like plums, I think. Plums, maybe apricots, something in that sort of area, plus apples. And it's more like red apples now, and possibly baked apples again. Orchard fruits, stone fruit. Might even be a little bit of peach in there. So I think I am seeing quite a lot now of Pinot character. I think that justifies the Pinot Noir being first on the billing there on the list of grapes. And acidity-wise, it's really mouth-watering, but it certainly isn't over the top on the acidity. And I think, again, that's maybe another hint that this is more Pinot dominant. It's the Chardonnay usually that can end up with those kind of really searing apple and lemon, malic and citric acid kind of notes. Whereas this is more refreshing, mouth-watering kind of acidity, the sort of acidity you get from, I don't know, perhaps from a fresh plum, I suppose, or a peach. It's quite nicely balanced. This feels really low on the dosage. I'm not getting much in terms of sweetness. It's a relatively dry style. Let me try that again. Despite those initially kind of baked apple kind of notes, which suggest a bit of sweetness, on the palate, I would say I'm getting quite a dry, appealingly dry sort of style there, but very mouth-watering, very refreshing, just not too big on the dosage, not too big on the sweetness. So their official tasting notes are aromas of brioche and mushroom. Not sure I'm getting mushroom, not sure I want mushroom in a sparkling wine. Precede a refined, creamy palate of orchard fruit, balanced by saline minerality. I'm not noticing the minerality so much. I'm getting more appealing sort of dry, fruity character there. And then it just says drink now or cellar for 5 years or whatever. Try again, see if I can find some minerality. Yeah, maybe it's there, but to me, that character that I think they're describing as minerality, it's more like that sort of pleasant kind of fruity bitterness that you would get from something like a plum, that sort of slight hint of bitterness that it has perhaps in the skin. That's very nice, very drinkable. Nice to have something from Wiston that is a bit more Pinot forward. I'm sure they do make a decent number of wines that are like that, but as I say, in my head I sort of always think of it as their house style being a little bit more Chardonnay dominant. I'll put the price on screen. It was on special offer. It was about sort of 10 quid off. Not sure I would consider it to be a bargain even at the discounted price. Certainly much better than paying the full original price. Those vintage releases actually directly from Wiston can get quite pricey now as well, so might actually be cheaper than buying a Wiston own brand of Wiston's wine, if that makes sense. Not sure this is exactly the same. They may have varied some things in the winemaking process for their Fortnum & Mason version rather than for their own, but yeah, I would not guess this was a Wiston wine. It's quite sort of different stylistically, but it is very smart, really mouth-watering, very enjoyable. It's good stuff. Probably too dark to say anything else. I'll shut up. Cheers.